All right, what's good, everybody? You're watching the BCB podcast. This is episode 134. Aaron Washington back with you guys at another podcast. Appreciate your time. This time around, we're going to be discussing the Rockets as well as the All-Star games. We got a couple of pretty interesting topics to dive into today. I appreciate my man CJ here for joining me on this podcast. CJ is, of course, a contributor for Unwrapped Sports. He's also the host of the Guard Up podcast, and he's a co-host of the Hard Count. So he's involved in a couple of projects there on the podcast side. And, of course, he's repping New York today. You can see the hat on screen here if you're watching it. And the Knicks have had a pretty great run as of late. So proud of those guys. And I got to give a shout out to CJ for staying loyal and staying committed because I know that wasn't easy through the years. But I appreciate your time, man. Thanks for joining me on the pod.
Oh, man, thank you for having me, bro. It's been a long time coming.
Absolutely. So we are discussing a team here in the Western Conference that's endured an up and down season, to say the least, the Houston Rockets here. But before we get into that, of course, there's a few sponsors that we got to shout out here for Unwrapped Sports. They really kind of help us get some things rolling on our end, so got to give them their due. Let me see if I can get this up here for you guys. Here we go. So this is our ticker here at the bottom if you're watching this, but teespring.com/stores/unwrapped is the first link I wanted to shout out here today. There's some apparel that some of us here at the Podcast Network have available for you guys to check out. So if you want to see some of our products, go ahead and hit that link down at the bottom and get hooked up with some gear if you want to support, of course, business casual or whatever other projects are going on at Unwrapped Sports. Then you're going to use that link down below to get involved in that. Also, we have a VIP program going on in Unwrapped Sports. That's going to be at patreon.com/Unwrapped Sports. So you're going to get some perks with that if you sign up for a Patreon program. We have a few little incentives for you guys if you want to help support, our podcast, support our network. We have some great things going, and through your support, we're going to be able to help that along a little bit more. So if you use that link down at the bottom, we really appreciate your guys' help and support through that. Also, mybookie.ag, the code at USN100 is the code we have every week for you guys to check out. If you want to double your deposit, you want to get in on some bets, you want to get that rolling, make some money here in this sporting season of the NBA, and then some other sports here rolling up pretty soon like baseball. So if you guys want to get involved in that link is going to be down there for you to get your deposit doubled. And then lastly, rxtemp.com. You're going to use that code rxtemp-USN. That's going to be 10% off your entire order. So if you guys want to get hooked up, they have some recovery cream that helps you guys get rejuvenated if you're dealing with any kind of physical ailments or just plain old sore, whatever you guys got going on. Be sure to use that code down there. That's going to give you guys a discount on your order and help you get kick-started if you're looking for get rejuvenated after physical exercise or what have you. So now that's addressed, CJ. Let's talk about the Houston Rockets here for a minute because they have had quite the roller coaster. There's been I counted there's almost 2 or 3 different sagas in this one season. So I kind of split it up by however you want to say it, chapters, sagas, whatever. But the first part of this I looked at is how they were looking prior to the season because of course they were a completely different team. Before the season, they had different aspirations, different goals. They still had James Harden. They still had Westbrook. So they were looking at another playoff appearance and another deep run into the playoffs potentially. But, of course, that didn't happen. Some things kind of changed in the middle of the offseason there for them. So Covington went to the Trailblazers in exchange for Ariza, the number 16 pick, which turned into Isaiah Stewart. And then the Blazers protected 2021 first-round pick. And then, of course, Westbrook moved on to the Wizards, so they got back a 2023 first-round pick with that. In addition to, they got back in that deal John Wall. So, of course, that was a big deal for them as well. Stephen Silas came in. He inherited a completely different team. There was, crazy things going on, a bunch of drama. So, at the time of the Harden trade, Houston was 3-6. A lot of things have changed since then, but it's really been a roller coaster, man. So now we find ourselves in the middle of the season, that we're dealing with a completely different situation post-trade. So, any initial thoughts from the Houston Rockets looking at their situation now? I know a lot of things have changed for them. They haven't been competitive, but, there's a lot to look at here if you're interested in who they have on their roster, guys like John Wall and Oladipo kind of keep things interesting for them.
It's been a rough year for sure. Definitely, like you said, like you alluded to, early off-season, I thought they were going to run it back, try at least one more season with Russell and Harden, try to make a push, try to maybe add a couple pieces here and there. Mm-hmm. Weren't able to do that. And then that's once they traded Westbrook, I feel like that's when the domino effect really started to see James Harden really disinterested. Didn't want to play in Houston again. He wanted to finish somewhere else where he wanted to play with some guys where he could compete for a championship. He felt like Houston wasn't that place for the latter part of his career. They got a guy like Christian Wood. I thought, they could have been really solid with those three guys. Unfortunately, Harden came in, out of shape. Didn't really want to play. Really, he played those couple games, looked good, but it was really just an audition. Those were really audition games to some suitors that would potentially want to acquire James Harden via trade. So, ultimately ended up in Brooklyn, and we see, the type of impact he's had already, especially in KD's absence. An MVP candidate, you can have him right there with him and Embiid. So he's been playing spectacular so far in Brooklyn, and then for Houston, they're in a rebuilding mode. They've had a lot of success over the last 5 years or so. Mike D'Antoni, went to a Western Conference Finals, almost went to a Finals in that Game 7. Had a multitude of stars that they put around James Harden to try to compete for a championship. We've always talked about the type of style that they played when they had a guy like Mike D'Antoni. That 5-out style. It works in the regular season, and then once the postseason came around, teams really started to hone in and make them play some half-court basketball, and it was tough for them to get some of those looks that they were potentially able to get in the regular season. So those things started to triculate, and it just ran its course. Now I think right now you get a guy like John Wall and Oladipo. I think both of those guys really just want to prove that they're healthy. They're doing the same thing Harden is doing. They're really auditioning for another team potentially next year, or maybe in the trade, maybe before the trade deadline. We'll see what happens, so they could be able to go to a place where they could contend for a championship. Because I don't see Houston's future being right now in this current state trying to win a championship. They're trying to acquire picks, and that's what they did when they got Harden with that also with that Portland pick as well. So they're moving in that direction. They want to build around Christian Wood. They gave him that 3-year deal. He looks like an excellent player. And before he got hurt with that ankle, they were 11-10, and then so far they're on a 12-13 game losing streak right now. So it's tough, but I think I still believe in Stephen Silas. It's his first year. You can't really critique him too much. He pretty much got his first head coaching gig, and probably maybe one of the worst situations ever for a first-year head coach. Yeah, so it's been rough for him, but. I think they gave him a 5-year deal, so you give him some time to really build the team. Raphael Stone be able to build the team the right way, get the right pieces around him so he can be able to put those guys in position to succeed. And we'll see how Houston moves forward in the future.
Yeah, man, I don't think it's fair to really evaluate the coaching job or the management job based on what's happened so far. Like you said, the situation was incredibly uneven and unstable when those guys came in, so they really just had to kind of make do with the really unfortunate situation. But I think in the midst of all of that, they made some sound decisions, just kind of trying to restock the cupboard when it comes to picks. So, they've done a good job there. And then, looking at Christian Wood, their bet on Christian Wood has definitely paid off so far. It's unfortunate that he went down with that ankle injury and he hasn't played in the last, 13 games or so. But when he was in the game, he was super effective. I think, he's probably one of the front runners, if not the front runner for most improved player. He was a borderline all-star candidate. So, for their investment in him, which really is not that expensive, I think they gave him like 3 years and like $43 million, something like that. Just, incredible value. And, you mentioned that they were 11-10 prior to that losing streak. Now they find themselves, just way down there in the Western Conference. It's a tragic situation. But what's incredible to me is that as soon as Christian Wood got hurt, that's when they went on the losing streak. Like, they literally have not won a game since he got hurt. And, that was February 4th. They played the Memphis Grizzlies. So since then, they haven't won. They've lost 13 games in a row, which is, you want to talk about a guy that's valuable and you want to prop up a guy's case for being valuable to a team. That says it all right there. And I went and looked at some on and off numbers for Wood. According to Cleaning the Glass, the team is 14.7 points per 100 possessions better when he takes the court. So that's 9 points better on offense, and then they hold opponents down 5 more points on defense. So, his impact is incredible. The percentages there are astounding, and he's arguably the best player on this team. No disrespect to John Wall, but yeah, Christian Wood's that dude, man. So what do you think about him compared to John Wall? Like, is this when John Wall is starting to decline now, is this Christian Wood's team? Is he next up to kind of take the mantle for the Houston Rockets, considering he's only 26 and he seems to be getting better?
100%. I definitely compare his rise similar to Julius Randle in a way. He's been around the league for a multitude of years. Worked on his game every single year, got better. In Detroit last year, we saw the potential. We just didn't know if he was going to be able to be that type of player to be a first or second option. But now we've seen that, especially we've seen his impact. Like you talked about the losing streak that they've been on since his absence. And I feel like he's an excellent player. He can stretch the floor, can play defense, cut to the basket. He's a 3-level scorer, can rebound the ball pretty well. So I think he's a great player for them. I think right now you would put him over Wall. I think they're going to try to get some assets for Wall. And again, this is the perfect, if they're able to get a first or second round draft pick in this draft class coming up, it's the perfect situation. Everybody's talked about this being one of the most the deepest drafts in a long time. So with the multitude of talent that's coming out, so if they're able to get as many draft picks as possible, they could potentially restart this thing over quicker than expected. So I think having a guy there that you already know that could get you 20, 23, and 10 plus any given night with some assist as well and play some defense is definitely a plus. And when you add also with the pieces that they're potentially could acquire via draft.
True that, man. And we're talking about accumulating assets, and one way they're going to go about that is really just dishing off some of those guys that have value for them. One guy that's been in trade rumors a ton over the past couple months is PJ Tucker. There's several teams interested in him. His play type fits into almost any team. Corner 3-point specialist, along with that grit and toughness. A bunch of contenders are going to line up for his services, no doubt. And then Victor Oladipo is another name that's in that kind of rumor mill. Especially since he might not even want to stick with the team after this season. It would just make sense to at least kind of put his name out there and see what kind of offers come their way. And, if they put those guys out there, maybe get some return for them, they're going to be well on their way to refilling their assets when it comes to draft picks. And I kind of think of the Houston Rockets before they got James Harden, to the situation now. Back in 2010, 2011, 12. They were like, a 40 to 42 win team. They were like around 500. They were good. They weren't great. They had guys like Kyle Lowry. I think they still had like Kevin Martin at the time. So they were straight. They were solid, but not anything special. But what they did is they took those assets. They took their draft picks they accumulated because they had kind of bid their time. They really took their time developing. They cashed in for James Harden. And then that just was this leap board, sprung them into a new era of incredible basketball. So I think they're going to take a similar approach here. If they play their cards right, they're going to be on their way with Wood. John Wall, if we're going to be honest, they're probably not going to get to trade him because of his enormous contract. That's just kind of like the unfortunate situation they find themselves in. But if John Wall can be a bridge to the next generation, if he can be a solid near all-star type guy for another 2 or 3 years, right out his contract, I think that's a pretty good situation for them to be in. So it's going to come down to them finding a replacement for Oladipo if they do ship him out. Taking hold of those young guys because they do have some assets. They have, Tate on the roster. He's been really nice for them. I actually do. Jason Tate, I've really impressed with his play so far. House, David Nwaba, they're pretty solid players. So they're kind of building their culture around grit and grind, defense first. It's not translating to wins right now, but they do have some grinders on that team that really do care about winning. So I do like the moves they made in terms of those guys. They have some real winners on that team if they can find a way to develop their talent a little bit more. Yeah,
for Wall, it's going to be interesting because, he's been through losing seasons during his first couple of years in Washington.
True.
So is he going to have that type of mindset like you talked about, being kind of that mentor, that veteran guy going forward in Houston? That's why I feel like it might be kind of even though the contract, and that's really the thing, but also we look at Chris Paul. Chris Paul also has made his contract is crazy too. He's been on these 1 year kind of like mercenary deal. Well, just staying on the contract, but kind of just being on different teams and having impact. So I think we could potentially see a similar situation with him. But it's going to be up to Wall to play that way and show that he could still be a really good player on a winning team for a team to take that sacrifice and collect all of that money that he's supposed to get for these next 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, he's going to cash out regardless, but for Wall, it's going to be. I think the fact that he's getting that much money is going to really kind of lighten the mood for him a little bit. Of course, he's a winner, he's a competitor, he wants to go out there and win, but it'll be a little bit easier on him knowing that he's going to collect $40+ million in the next couple years. Even if they're not winning games. But I mean, it's not like they're going to be down here forever. I think they're already on their way, if they play their cards right, to being at least a competitive team. Because when they had John Wall, Oladipo, and Wood playing, I mean, they went on a 6-game winning streak, and they based their play around fast-paced, versatile basketball. In those games they won, I mean, they were super explosive. Their fast break offense is incredible. All three guys could run the floor. They're very intimidating on the fast break, being able to create baskets for each other, great distributors. So they're going to be okay. But now their situation when it comes to the future is, what does their pick situation look like? And I went back and I looked at an article on The Ringer that talked about this. And, they're in a tough situation this season because they have actually, as of March 1st, have the toughest remaining schedule in the league. So, odds are they're going to continue to take some L's. It's just the way it's going to be for them. But if the lottery were today, they would have like around a 50-50 chance of keeping their pick because of some, I think it's like top 4 protected. So, that's something else they got to consider. But for this year, I mean, they're going to receive the least favorable of their pick, OKC's, and Miami's. So, it's interesting, and they might not even get their pick this year. But, if they kind of ride this out, they accumulate some assets based on some of those guys that are valuable that they have on their teams of veterans, and they're going to be okay. They just might have to wait a year or two for these picks to really start cashing out. But when it does, they're going to be in good position. But I like where Houston positioned themselves. They kind of stand between the past and present, and they're going to be just fine going to the future if they can play their cards right. They got plenty of options in front of them right now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if they feel like Wood could definitely be kind of that player where you could win a championship with him, they could use some of those draft picks and try to get another player to pair him up with, and maybe Wall as well,
right?
And still try to make that push in the Western Conference.
Yeah, and I like how they've already kind of established something, because a lot of teams, and I know you can attest to this being a Knicks fan, man, but a big part of losing, and when it becomes like a habitual habit, a big part of that is because there's no identity to the team. They haven't established a culture, something that can really rally their team around. They don't have really a plan when it comes to like what kind of players they're looking for, how they're going to win games. But Houston's already kind of found that. They've definitely geared themselves more towards defense. They're 27th on offense right now, but they're 12th in defense. And a big part of that was, turning easy, like defensive possessions into easy opportunities on offense via fast breaks. So I think they're going to continue to do that with guys like Tate on the roster, Nwaba, John Wall, Wood. That's going to continue. So they just need a little more talent. But once the talent is there, I think the blueprint for success is already there, regardless of how the season ends for them. So, I doubt that they're going to be down for long, maybe a season or two, but they'll be just fine. And I have all the faith in the world and a guy like Silas to come in, because he's paid his dues. He's seen a lot in the NBA. He's been around a lot of different teams, losing teams, winning teams. He knows what it takes. So, I have no doubt he's going to make that happen.
Yeah, Tillman Fertitta, the owner, coming from the UFC, he's had a lot of success in all his business moves. He's not going to be down for, tanking and doing all that for 3, 4, 5 seasons. He's going to put the pressure on those guys in the front office to make a quick turnaround.
Facts, man. They won't be down for long at all. So there's a course, like we said before, Christian Wood is an incredible talent. And it's unfortunate because I think if he had not gone down with that injury, he might have been a contender here, a serious contender for the All-Star team for the Western Conference. But even though he himself is not going to be a part of that action, All-Star Weekend is around the corner. So I want to discuss that a little bit with you here, CJ. Hats off. Julius Randle's had an incredible season. He's going to be a part of the festivities. That's great to see. It's a great move on their part. But this All-Star Weekend is a lot different than what we're used to seeing, because technically it's not really it's a weekend because it's on a Sunday, but we don't have the 3-day weekend that we typically see with the festivities here. So we're going to have everything on one day. The All-Star game is on Sunday, the 3-point contest, the dunk contest. We actually don't have a Rising Stars game this year, which is unfortunate. There's a lot of great names. And I don't know if you've seen the list, man, but I think if we did have a game, the U.S. is going to absolutely blow the world away. It would not have been fair, man.
It was a mismatch. I saw it when they announced it yesterday. I feel like my guy quickly got snubbed, but
oh, you did. I forgot all about him, man. I can't believe that on that list. That's wild.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's all good, man. He'll have his due. He'll still be eligible next year to make it. So I have no doubt if he continues the way he's going next year, he'll be in it when we actually hopefully have the official game back here. But that's where I want to start this talk with you because we don't have the Rising Stars game this year. But that's been going on for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years now. But prior to that, we had the rookie sophomore game. And part of me thinks that if we had it split that way, rookies and sophomores as opposed to US and World, we would avoid the kind of mismatches that we might have seen this year if the game was being played. Because you look at it here with the U.S. roster, John Morant, Zion Williamson, you go down the list, you have some of the best players, the best young players today are on the U.S. roster. It's just incredible. And so it would have been mismatched. So if we split it rookie, sophomores, okay, sophomores get Ja and Zion, they get Tyler Hero, the rookies, can get some of the best rookies. They can get LaMelo Ball, on their squad and go that way. James Wiseman. So maybe be a little more balanced. Us in the group.
I think it might have been a blowout. I mean, you got Hero, Ja, Zion, RJ versus these rookies.
Yeah,
it's been solid. I mean, these rookies have been good, but that would have it would have been. I think it would have been the same thing almost. The way you just broke it down, it would have been the same thing.
It's still a little mismatched there. Maybe a little bit better, but ultimately the edge goes to the sophomore group. But that's going to depend on the year, of course. Right. But plenty of us in the Unwrapped group, our WhatsApp group have talked about this, and many of us are in favor for rookies and sophomores coming back. So, did you want to chime in on that at all? Like, did you want to see that come back in the future? Because I actually did enjoy that action. I kind of missed it a little bit. So how are you feeling about that?
Yeah, it was good. I was a fan of it. I think they just wanted to spice it up a little bit. I think they also wanted to show how international the game has become, more global, and just show the versatility that they have on every single team, from guys from overseas and not just being strictly USA driven. Obviously, we know USA players are going to have the most talent, but also some of those guys in the world may be a little bit more skilled and have some higher IQ, depending on how they were coached during their upbringing before they got into the NBA. So, I think that's why they kind of made that transition and change. I mean, I wasn't against. I think last year was pretty good. I just think it's unfortunate that we weren't able to have a game this year, like you said.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, with everything that's going on right now. I mean, I think I like USA versus World, and I think it also it should motivate some of those guys in World as well to step up in the game and show hold it down for their home country and show like I'm here too, regardless of what people may be saying, like us saying that the USA is gonna blow them out the water and it's a complete mismatch. If they go out and do their thing, and sometimes USA, we've seen them slip up sometimes and play a little lackadaisical, and World get a lead, and then they have to come back, and then it becomes a little bit more competitive than we thought. So I think I like that aspect. I mean, rookie and sophomore has been good for the past few years, but I think I like to transition a little bit and to show some of the young guys and some opportunities from other areas of part of the world playing basketball.
Yeah, that's a good point. You're really highlighting the world squad and how far that's come in the past several years. Like having guys like Luka and Giannis kind of come in from overseas and really dominate this league. I mean, that's a great look for them, and it really shows how far this league has come in terms of an international perspective. You don't have the world. We don't have the U.S. rather dominating the world as we've seen in years past. Olympic competition, the World Cup that we had not too long ago, that was a great example. I think we were like 6th. I don't even think we were a medal in that tournament, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it didn't really go well for us. So, yeah, absolutely, man. You made a great point on that. And, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of impartial. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed either way. I think USA World is definitely a good move. This year might just be kind of aberration because, sometimes the stars kind of align in a certain way. So it really created an environment here or a team where you have a mismatch, and that's going to happen regardless. But as we've seen in games like this, there's no defense, so there's opportunities for everybody to eat. So who knows? It could have been a competitive game. The world could have came out here with a chip on the shoulder and really just punched the U.S. in the mouth. There's no telling. But yeah, ultimately, I think the league made a good move. We're talking about, how they're trying to market the league, because at the end of the day, that is a huge part of what they're trying to do. Entertainment is definitely at the forefront as well, but they have to make this game appealing to a multitude of audiences and making this contest, world versus U.S., is a great way to do that. Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. So it's unfortunate we don't have that this year, but we still do have the dunk contest, which I'm going to be honest, man. I'd rather have the Rising Stars game the dunk contest. I'm really not feeling this year.
Yeah.
Obi Toppin, your guys in it, man. I'm sure he's going to put on a show for us. He's got some ups, but I ain't feeling it, man. So what are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, usually it's 4 contenders. Now it's 3.
Yeah. I don't think they can find enough guys, man. Honestly, they're like, we got 3. Let's just go run with 3 because we can't find them guys to do this.
I think a lot of the guys were just like, we're disinterested, honestly, potentially by the whole event in the first place.
Yeah.
Because of what's going on. So
for sure.
Could have kind of been a rebellious type thing, not wanting to play, and they just want some rest. So getting some young guys in there is good. Cassius Stanley hasn't really played too much for the Pacers, but I think it'd be a really nice player moving forward if they're able to develop him the right way. Guys like LeVert, Sabonis, and Brogdon, and Indiana. So it can showcase some of the things, his talents. He has ups as well from coming from Sierra Canyon, and also we've seen some of those highlights in Duke as well. Obi, he has the hops. I think he's gonna put on. He's probably the favorite just because everybody saw what he did last year at Dayton and some of the couple dunks that he has already so far in his rookie year. So it's not Vince Carter, Jason Richardson back in the day, Tracy McGrady, but I think that's why they probably just they're kind of cramming it all together, put in the All-Star game pregame. I think the skills challenges in the pregame. And the dunk contest is at halftime or something like that. So, they're just trying to mix it up and just trying to get out. I just feel like they're just trying to do it and get out of there as quickly as possible. So those players can get back to their teams and make sure everybody's not, have the health and the healthy and safe protocols. And so I'm not too excited. I may check it out for for a little bit.
Yeah,
but it is what it is.
It is what it is, man. I'm in the same boat as you, honestly, when it comes to this contest. I was so disappointed to see who turned it down. That makes it worse when you see who turned it down the invitations. First of all, Jaylen Brown turned it down. I totally get that. He's been having knee injuries kind of on and off, so that makes total sense. I wouldn't go either, honestly. But Zion not participating, really just shot me in the foot, man. Miles Bridges declined the invitation. We get teased, man, every year. We got these players, Anthony Edwards. You can come out here and you make this dream scenario in your head. You think about it like, if these guys participate, it's going to be an incredible contest. Because every year we talk about, like, how can we recreate the magic of the dunk contest like we had in 2000 and we had a few years ago with Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine. If you just get 2 those like special dunkers, man, that's all you need to have an incredible contest. Dominique and MJ, back in the 80s, and you see these guys decline, and it's like it's such a buzzkill, man. It's like I was really hoping for a stacked field, and I wish these guys like Zion and Anthony Edwards, I'm like, just come and participate just one season. Like, remember Kobe, 97, he came out here, he rolled 1 year, he won it, and that was it. It's like just come roll up, man, show your hops and win that thing one time, and just let it ride. But
I think it might be because of the fans not being there too.
That's true. That's true.
That's the best. That's really the best part. One of the best parts of the dunk contest is the fans. 3-point contest, like you hear the crowd when they make like 3, 4, 5 in a row, but you have a crazy dunk and you're jumping over somebody that you shouldn't be jumping over, and the crowd's going crazy, and Kenny Smith and Shaq are rolling out, just acting
Let's go
wild.
home.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go home.
That
vibe is different this year, so I think some of the young guys are just like, probably have a long career ahead. So hopefully, I love to get that. Zion versus Anthony Edwards.
Oh man, just thinking about it got me hyped, man. For real,
that'd be crazy.
That would be insane. Yeah, hopefully another year it'll happen. We'll have to wait on that one. But we still do have the skills challenge. That should be an interesting competition. We have some interesting names here. LaMelo Ball is a name that unfortunately declined that, but it should be a good time nonetheless. Skills challenge has been the whole idea of the skills challenge has changed in the past few years. Prior to maybe 2 or 3 years ago, it was all about the guards just showing their skills. Now, with the evolution of versatility in the NBA, it's like, let's throw Nikola Jokic out there. Let's throw Bam out there. Let's throw these big guys out there and show how far the front court players have come when it comes to distributing the ball, shooting the ball, dribbling. Because those are the 3 skills that historically big men did not have like we have today. And those 3 skills are displayed perfectly in the skills challenge. We have an exhibit, an obstacle for each one of those skills. So it's the perfect showcase for those guys to be out there and doing it. And correct me if I'm wrong, CJ. Is Julius Randle in it this year? Did I see his
Yeah.
name pop up? That's right.
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's Randall, Vucevic, and I think I want to say Sabonis. Might be the three bigs in the contest this year. So yeah, I agree. Everything you said, 100%. They want to showcase their versatility. We've seen that transition. We've kind of seen the big man back to the basket all the time, or the big man running to the basket. Catching lobs. Now we've seen more versatility. Them playing a little bit more like guards. It's and being able to shoot the ball as well at a high clip. We've seen with Embiid and Jokic as well. So I think that was a great addition. That was a great addition. Again, the NBA always trying to move forward and trying to find ways to get other guys involved. And they see the evolution in the league, and I think it's going to be fun.
It's going to be a great time. The full field is Robert Covington, Julius Randle, Luka Doncic, Sabonis, Chris Paul, and Vucevic. So I actually had no idea that Robert Covington was in it.
Yeah, that was the wrench. Yeah, that was the wrench in the lineup.
Yeah, because you think about Covington, it's like, man, that man can shoot the rock. But when it comes to distributing, when it comes to handling the ball, I mean, he hardly ever dribbles. If you watch him in action, he's out there shooting spot-up threes. He might take a couple dribbles to maybe set up an angle for a pass or something like that. But I'm like, I've barely seen a man dribble. So, I mean, that's going to be interesting to see him out there actually running through these obstacles and stuff. Yeah. Maybe he has some hidden talent we haven't seen before.
Yeah, I was saying the same thing. I was like, usually just a 3-and-D guy but that's his role on the teams he's been on. That's what they've asked him to do. That doesn't necessarily mean he can't do some of those other things. So I'm definitely interested to see what he does. If he that'd be crazy. He has the 3-ball, so you have to hit that 3-ball once you go through the course.
Oh yeah.
So he might have a shot.
Absolutely, man. And then you look at CP3, the old vet in this competition, come out here, be 35 years old. He wants to show the young guns up. I wouldn't put it past him to come out here and win that title. That would be pretty cool to see. And I can't remember the exact history of the skills competition when it comes to age, but he's probably one of the oldest players to take part in this competition because usually it's geared towards younger players. That's usually, up to maybe late 20s. That's usually where you kind of see the guys start to that's where you see it kind of geared towards. So I like that as well. I like the variety in this year's competition. We have guards, we have forwards, we have the big men, we have international flavor, we have vets, we have young guys. So, I mean, it's a great blend, man. So I think it's going to set up an incredible competition just because of the variety we have on display. So if you got to take a bet right now, if you're going to put some money down, who are you going with for this year's competition?
I'm gonna go with Doncic. Obviously, if the money's on the line, I'd probably go with him.
I like it.
His vision is crazy. I feel like that bounce pass is probably the toughest part. A lot of people they sleep on the bounce pass and it doesn't go through the tire, and you have to do it again. That kind of messes up people's time. So
that's right.
We'll see. But I'll probably go with Luka. I think he has the best shot. Chris Paul, like you said, I think he's been in there 5 times. It hasn't won one yet. So. Like you said, he's looking to, show up the young guys and look good. So we'll see.
Put me 50 down on CP3, man. I'll put some money down on him because, as you said, he hasn't won it yet. I think he has something to prove. He's going to say, "I'm still here. I'm still the point guard. I'm out here. I'm one of the greats." So he's going to put on that passing clinic. And like you said, that bounce pass is sneaky difficult. Because it's not so much as just making the pass. It's like that window is small that you have to operate in. And, aiming a bounce pass is definitely more difficult than if you're just doing a normal chest pass or something like that. So I think CP3's got the chops to make it happen. He's not the quickest guy in the world anymore. But I think if he can get through all those obstacles in one shot, then that's going to put him ahead of the field, especially since he has the experience. He knows exactly what to expect. So I'll put some money down on him. Why not make that happen? So, of course, before we end discussion, man, we got to talk about the All-Star game itself. It's the 70th All-Star game in NBA history. LeBron and KD will be picking their squads tonight. I think in about an hour or so, they're going to go on air and make that happen. So we don't have the squads here yet to officially dissect, but I am really just looking forward to the first-time players getting in this action. Julius Randle, Zach LaVine, those guys, it's going to be so fun to watch them ball out and just see them be on the stage because they've been knocking at the door for a few years now. So getting their opportunity is going to be great. And that's what I'm going to be focusing on the most, other than, of course, like the superstars, because it's always exciting to see those guys get their fair due and fair opportunity to come out here and show what they got. So it's gonna be a fun game, man. Interesting.
What do you have in the 3-point contest?
Oh man, 3-point. I actually told you about. So for 3-point, man, I want to. Part of me wants to say Dame. Just I'm a Dame guy, and I think he's got that chip on his shoulder like he always does. I mean, honestly, when does he not have a chip on his shoulder? But if I had to pick a name right here, just without even thinking about it, that's the first that comes to my mind, man. So give me Dame Dollar all day.
I think I'm gonna go with this one's gonna be good. This is good. Tatum, Brown, Curry, like you said, Dame as well. Booker.
Can't put it past Curry, man. Like we get a couple racks going on fire, and you might take.
I'm gonna rock with D Book.
Okay.
I think gets 2 3-point contests under his belt.
I can see it, man. I can see it. The man's on. He's been on a tear. February Player of the Month for the Western Conference. He's already hot. Why not take it into the 3-point contest and heat it up a little bit? So I can see that. I can definitely see that.
What you said about the All-Star game, I want to see. Hopefully LeBron drives Zion. I want to see that live. How that works out. Man. Either or, whether he lobs it to LeBron or LeBron like that would be, that'll go crazy on social media. Hopefully Top Shot definitely put that as a moment.
Oh man, can you imagine what that goes for if that ended up being on Top Shot?
Oh my gosh,
100K at least.
yeah, at minimum, right? Exactly. Yeah, that would be crazy. So, I agree. Randall as well, Zach LaVine, could have made it last year, but they weren't winning. Now, they've done pretty good. A lot of people didn't expect them to play this well. Got to give Billy Donovan a lot of credit. Definitely, probably one of the leading candidates when it comes to Coach of the Year for what he's done in his first year in Chicago. So, Curry, obviously, Giannis, KD's not going to play. That sucks, but I want to see somebody get crossed too. Kyrie's there, Harden's there. So they're already not playing any defense. So somebody's going to get shifted. So
right,
and to see what happens with that.
That's all facts, and I'm hoping this All-Star game kind of brings over that competitive nature from last year. I think last year was the best All-Star game I've ever watched because, down the stretch, we had these guys treating it like a playoff game. We had guys taking charges. I couldn't believe my eyes. When I saw, like, Kyle Lowry and these guys taking charges in the All-Star game, I was like, man, this is completely different. I hope that carries over because that was a lot of fun to check that out.
I hope so, too. Last year, it was definitely one of the most competitive in a very long time because you used to seeing, like, that game went to 150s, too, but
yeah,
it was definitely more towards the end. You saw they were definitely wanting to play for something, and charity being involved as well. I think it may be a similar circumstance this year. Something like HBCUs and charity going towards whichever team gets that W. So those players are going to play hard. So it's going to be fun. And also last year they had some nice one-on-ones. So Giannis and LeBron were going at it, and Embiid did a nice little shimmy move on LeBron. Everybody was going crazy about that. So I'm here for those one-on-ones. I want to see Zion, catch a body, man.
All day, man. We need that in the worst way, man. He was bodying some guys. He's been bodying some guys actually pretty frequently here in the regular season. Actually, now that you mention it, but just looking at this game, man, I'm like, of course, the competitive aspect is going to be there for sure, and we need that brought over from last year, in the worst way. But ultimately, like this is going to be a fantastic game. I think. Just of course, we have the names and. Who's being represented. And that team that comes to mind for me is Phoenix. Phoenix has 2 players in the All-Star game. Don't ask me to name the last time they had 2 guys in the All-Star game. It was probably Nash and Stoudemire way back in maybe 2010 or something like that, 2009, 10. Yeah, it's been a minute, man. But just seeing the Suns being represented and the season they've been having, that's a pretty dope development as well. So seeing those guys together, that's some great.
Good, man. They look good.
Yeah, they're looking awesome. And I mean, this field is looking great, man. We have some, first timers, we have some vets, and excited to see what the field looks like. So
have you done your mid-season awards yet?
I have not done my midseason awards. I have some names in my mind when it comes to some of the awards and who can end up being a All NBA and defensive player and rookie of the year is wrapped up. We don't need to talk about that. That's ball ran away with that one. But most improved, I think, actually might be a race worth really taking a look at. That's going to come down to the wire, I think, similar to last year, honestly.
I agree.
Yep. But I think that's about it, man. I think we kind of addressed everything with that one. Should be a great weekend, and I honestly, selfishly wish I could attend. It's about 30 miles from me, the game this year, so I wish I could be there. But they made it exclusive, man. They made it exclusive, and won't be able to attend this year. But hopefully things kind of open up, going forward. But to be honest, I probably wouldn't be able to attend anyway. I probably would have been out of my price bracket, so different tax brackets. It's all good, man. But CJ, I appreciate your time here this evening, man. Really glad to be able to talk some hoops with you again. Good luck to your Knicks going down the stretch and everything you're a part of. I love your work. And speaking of your work, why don't you shout it out real quick for the listeners if they want to find out where to listen to you over on the web.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for having me, bro. I really appreciate it. Find me at the Garda Podcast, covering all things NBA. I'm coming out with a new episode talking about the midseason awards. So potentially might have Aaron on. So all the business casual basketball fans, look out for that. We might collab again in the near future. I'm streaming on all platforms. Also doing the hard count, covering everything NFL. My guy Anthony Conover. We just dropped the episode today. I'm talking about some of the top storylines in the NFL this past week. So you can check that out. And check out all the other great podcasts going on Unwrapped as well.
Nice, man. I love what you're doing over there. Keep up the great work.
Sure.
For business casual, you can find us BC Basketball 2. That's going to be on Twitter and Instagram if you want to check out some of our posts there on social. And the bcbasketball.info is the website you can find us if you want to get involved with some of our blog posts and some of the other features we offer on the website. So be sure to check us out online, guys. But thanks for your time this evening. We'll be back next week with some more NBA analysis as always. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy this NBA season, and we'll be back here on the pod to talk some more NBA basketball real soon. Take care, guys.
Take care, guys.